Hey guys, welcome to the Dentists of Insta Refugee Crisis Foundation fundraiser. I'm joined today by lovely guys from Refugee Crisis Foundation. We've got Khalida down at the bottom, we've got Ali on the bottom right, and we have got Junaid, who is on the top right. So two of the organizers and one of the beside the clinic director in Bangladesh. Yeah, I'm getting left and right mixed up there. Welcome, guys. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I've been really inspired by the whole RCF journey and the story about everything going on with the charity. And I think this is a great opportunity to talk about actually what RCF is, because I know, you guys know, but the guys out there who are watching and hopefully going to be donating over the next week or so really need to find out a bit more before they can be safe and happy in where their money's going.
No, thanks very much for having us. We're looking forward to chatting to you about it.
Amazing. Khalid, should we start with you? Where you kind of kicked off with your RCF journey?
So I started off volunteering for RCF when it was initially just a group of volunteers, friends and colleagues. That was the network that it was made up of. And Ali is one of the founding members, and his sister, who's a pharmacist actually, so not from the field of dentistry. And they were going out to Calais, the jungle in France, where there were roughly about 10,000 refugees living in makeshift camps in really horrible conditions. And they were delivering medical and dental aid, and it was just emergency dental treatment fortnightly, and just going with instruments crossing the border. And we had approved from the French Dental Council to deliver dental care to the refugees there. So I volunteered when I was studying at Boston. And one of my tutors said to me, Holiday, you speak a couple of languages, and I was experienced myself. So since then, we've registered as a charity, and Ali will go over through the initial journey that RCF went through. And myself and Ali are now member of the board of trustees, and I'm the dental program lead, and so is Ali. So that's how I got involved with RCF.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask why it was called RCF to start with, because I think that's a nice place to start with, because the name of a charity or any organization kind of it exemplifies and kind of embodies what it's all about. So where did that come from?
Well, it's kind of evolved over the years. When we first started off, we were mostly out of Manchester, so we used to actually be Manchester Refugee Foundation, and then started becoming more of a bigger movement. Started getting help from like people around London, like Calais End, and then it became more of an international thing. We've had people from Australia, from America. Obviously, we've had people from Bangladesh, like Junaid, who joined in. We felt that our original title wasn't quite right, so we want to describe what the issue is. There's no doubt that currently in the world there is a huge refugee crisis that is going on, and it doesn't get anywhere near enough attention. And we wanted to spread the word that there's things that people like us, just normal everyday people, can do to help. So that's really where the name came from. We wanted to highlight there was a crisis with refugees, and we're the foundation that we're trying to build to help these people. So that was pretty much where the names come around from.
Yeah, so it maybe started off a little bit smaller, and then suddenly you're stepping way out the bounds of the M60.
That's it. So I mean, the whole thing is when it started off, it was my sister was the main driving force, and she came to me a few years back when everything was happening in Calais before they demolished that campsite, and goes, look, there's a lot of people coming to France. They're stuck at the border, not getting any aid. They're stuck in kind of limbo between the English government, who's saying we don't want them, and the French government, who don't want them. And she said, look, I'm a pharmacist, you're a dentist, you refer to doctors and dentists, we've got a very particular skill set, and we're fortunate that we have skills that can be used to help people. We wanted to do something because you always see it on TV and you go, "Oh, I can't do anything about it." We said, "Look, why don't we just go over, see what's going on? Maybe we can help." Um, so, us being dentists, we know the importance of doing things the correct way. We actually got in touch with the French Dental Council, and we had a lovely French lady who helped with translation. And we explained the situation. We said, "Look, we want to go over, we want to try and help, we want to see if we can do anything." And they actually gave us permission to go over and do a needs assessment and see if it's viable for us to provide help.
Yeah.
So we started off getting in a car, 2 cars actually, and there was about 9 of us on the first trip. And we booked a small Airbnb. We loaded it up with as much gloves, equipment, antibiotics, medication, whatever we could take with us to try and help. And we literally drove all the way from Manchester down to Dover, and then we got the ferry across and arrived at about, I think it must have been about 5 o'clock in the morning at this tiny little French house. Not sure if we were at the right place. We all bundled and knocked out for about 2-3 hours, and got up and went straight to the campsite. And that's when we first realized that how much is going on and how shielded we are. We're very lucky to live in the UK because we're very comfortable, and going over there was a real eye opener, like Khalida said, and it kind of gives you a different perspective from the normal, just trying to do your UDAs, trying to hit your targets, these things that
Tell me
most
about
dentists have to deal with.
it.
So that's where we started, really, is just from that, and then we ended up going over, and it went quite well because there were medical organizations there, like medicine. The medics have very limited experience when it comes to tooth infections and how to treat it, how to assess it. They were so surprised and grateful that we shown up to lighten their load and give them some help in that field where they didn't really know much, and there was no referral services.
That's so true, because actually some of my friends, watch out for this when it comes up, actually, because I'm going to have a couple of my medic friends on eventually. And we've got kind of running jokes because obviously there's a big group of medics that I went to Newcastle with, and also the big group of dentists, and we're all friends, we all play football, go for Nando's and, meals and stuff like that. And actually they have a single day's worth of training on the mouth. And he's picked up things from us, but a very garbled sort of picture. It's like when you go on, I don't know, Twitter, and you get lay people talking about masks, and you just laugh, because it's like it's coming from the information's kind of there, but it's completely out of context. And
it's that old adage, isn't it? A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, but it's quite funny because he knows he doesn't know it, and that's why it's funny. But it's it becomes a little bit more dangerous when you don't know it, and you think you've got something there. And I think that's similar kind of to what you were talking about refugees. It's not the knowledge of what is going on out there with the crisis and what's happening to these poor people is not really out there. When we do hear about it, it's always in the wrong way, and people using it for their own gain, whether it's Brexit or any other sort of political motivation to get some sort of division out there. So I think it's so important to get out some real facts, just be an object and say this is what's happening, and that's why I'm really happy to kind of have you guys on and kind of shed light on that as well.
And I think to add to that, with dentistry, it's a very niche area of healthcare, and it's considered to be a privilege. It's not considered to be a necessity in the third world and where there's conflicts going on. So amongst refugees, when you look into UNHCR or WHO reports, it's very evident that there isn't enough data on the oral health of refugees. And the reason is because the service is not being provided. It's not considered necessary. They take the mouth out of the body. And there's a campaign in the UK alongside with Mouth Care Matters where they say put the mouth back in the body. People need to understand that the mouth is connected to the rest of the it's a gateway, because you have to, you feel like you have to educate people on the importance of oral health and why, and more importantly, amongst refugees, how it impacts them.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
We take now every day podcasts and share the data that we have from about 4,000 patients that's collected. But the point basically is oral health is an important, we're approaching it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a lot to kind of digest, isn't it? But you're right. There does seem to be a sort of disconnect, especially when we talk about dentistry and medicine. Like you have this, the medics are all making the jokes about not being real doctors. It's quite funny in the same way. But actually, when it comes to real issues of a lack of care for people who are in dire straits, actually you do need to realize that dentistry does have its place and it is important because chronic pain is chronic pain, whether it's in your gut or your mouth.
I mean, there's a lot of conditions that we've seen that very, very simple to be treated, that just aren't getting treated. And we all know prevention is 100 times better than the cure. If we can prevent something from happening, then that's so much better. So we have a lot of focus on collecting data because evidence-based is very important for what we do. We don't want to just start doing things, don't know if it's working, is it helpful or not. It's very important that we follow up on these. And prevention as well. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, later on in the podcast, but we have a lot towards education and showing people how to make this change sustainable, how to reduce damage to the teeth, which is a challenging thing to do in that environment. But yeah, we provide treatments and prevention, which I think is a very important thing. Because there's no point if we just go over, we take some teeth out, but we're not really trying to address the causes of the damage in the first place as well. And I think that's a very important part of dentistry. I'm sure, as we're all aware, is the education and prevention aspect as well.
Yeah. Junaid, are you still there? You're the only one that I can't see at the moment.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear us. Perfect. That's fine. Yeah, I think that's really key and very, very important. So I think the next thing to do is just maybe to have a look at the slider photographs that you sent us, because it's going to get a visual aid out there. We'll dive right into it and we can chat around things afterwards. So I'm just going to switch that over and the guys can really appreciate what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
So here we have the keynote speech. You guys won't be able to see this because I'm going to be doing it on the OBS software, but we can have a look at the first picture, which is one of, I think, yourself, Junaid, and you're sitting around a chair.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the clinic?
Yeah. Well, I would like to introduce myself first. This is Dr. Junaid, and I have been working with Refugee Crisis Foundation from, in permanent basis from last mid 2018. So first, I met them at 2018 March. Alibay was also with them, like with the team. So RCF is it's a great team. About the clinic, we are providing very basic treatments. Like in the beginning, we did not have that much sources. Like we did not have proper dental chair, or like we were limited within the resources. Uh, and as you know, like this is a really big community, like around more than 1 million people are living inside the camp. And I also would like to inform you that like in the whole community, right now there is only one dental facility, and
Yeah.
they're providing dental treatments. Before this pandemic, there was two. The other one is called Malaysian Field Hospital. But when the COVID-19 situation started, they shut down their clinic. So until now, we are providing dental facilities in the whole camp. So you would understand like the situation, what it could be,
Yeah, so
because yeah.
it's quite big because in the world there's maybe 68 million people who have been forced from their homes, and 25 million of those are now in other countries. And you're saying that 1 million of those people are in the camps that you're providing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I would like to mention that like whatever we are doing, this is really unique. And like from the beginning until now, like there are lots of volunteers from overseas, or the other organizations like MSF, UNHCR, or Malaysian Field Hospital, like the other organizations. Whenever they comes to know that we are providing a dental facility or dental treatments, they really appreciate us. Like whatever we are doing, that's really unique inside the camp. And as Ali Bhai mentioned before about uh, the medical doctor. So I also mentioned that in this whole camp, like our government divided the whole camp around 32 sector. So in every sector, there are like around minimum three health posts, like where medical or medicine treatments provides. But
Yeah.
in this whole 32 sector, we are the only one that providing dental treatments, and like we get patients from each and every sector. Like it's been more than over a year and a half. So. We are very much familiar inside the camp, that we are providing treatment, and also the other health post or health centers. They are also aware of our unit. So most of the patients that we get from the other health post or other health center,
Yeah.
the patients, like if they get dental problem or dental pain or like anything, the first thing they came in them they in their mind comes is that I have to go to the hospital. So they
Mm.
just go to the near hospital, but the medical doctor, they don't know like the exact treatment, like the what treatment should be. So they just whatever they can, they just do give analgesic and antibiotic, which is not really which is not relieve
Not a
the
long
pain.
term.
Yeah. So the people or the other health care worker who are aware of our unit, they just refer those dental patients to us. So
Yeah.
if I count, like if we see around 20 patients in a day, uh, and then we see around like 10 to 12 patients are referred from different camps, different sectors. So that's really like great thing that we are doing here. And
Junaid, I think what might be useful, Jabir, is if you play the video of the camp. So there's
Yeah.
a phone video, and I can basically talk over why we're focusing on the Rohingya people, and then that'll give a really nice perspective. It's
It's been playing in front of us. I replaced the screen, so it's been playing as Junaid was talking.
okay, great. So
Yeah.
the Rohingya people, they're one of the most persecuted minorities in the world. There's, as Junaid mentioned, there's under 1 million Rohingya refugees who fled from Myanmar, also known as Burma, since August 2017. What's unique about the Rohingya refugees is that it's not a new crisis that they've had. It's not like, for example, the Syrian refugees or Afghans or refugees from Iraq and elsewhere in the world. There've been new crises or they've been persecuted and they've fled and left their homeland. The Rohingya refugees have been persecuted since the 70s. So they've been coming to Bangladesh over the past 30, 40 years. And what's unique about the refugees in the Kutupalong camp, which is the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh, is that generations are actually born in these camps. And for example, one of our translators in this camp, because the Rohingya speak a very different dialect compared to the Bangladeshis, one of our translators, a second generation Rohingya refugee. He was born in the camp, he was raised in the camp, now he's an adult. So they are a stateless Muslim minority, and they've gone through, they've had really horrific life experiences. I'm sure Junaid will share some stories later when you hear some of the patients and ask them how they came to the camp, and they'll talk about their family members being killed in front of them, their villages being burned, their children basically dying in front of their eyes, and they can't do anything, so they leave. So it's very harrowing and quite traumatic in that sense as well. And I think it's very difficult to, as we were saying earlier, to appreciate and understand what this minority has gone through, because they're if anybody ever does get an opportunity to go out there, and we have volunteers that do, they will notice that these people are very they're very satisfied with life. They're very different to the refugees, for example, that we met with in Calais, and Ali can share his experience as well. They don't really complain very much. They don't talk very much. They just, they go with the flow. And I think one of the reasons might be because they're long-term refugees. They've been in this camp for a while. And there's a map as well, Jabir.
Yep, we've had it online.
That you can show. And that's what, and just, Ed was referring to when he said, so the Kutupalong, which is the world's largest refugee camp, is divided into different zones. And within those zones, it's managed by the army, and then there's ground health partners, and then international NGOs, and then there's charities like RCF that also help there. So they have a whole structure that you have to go through. You can't just go and set up a clinic there and start treating people or start delivering aid. It's very stringent, and there's a reason for that. So there's been a lot of work in the background of how we've gone from volunteering in 2018 and doing a needs assessment to now having the first permanent dental clinic in a refugee camp. And it's very unique because it's a very big accomplishment for us as well. There's no other refugee camp in the world where there's a dental clinic like ours. And you shared the picture as well, where we have a fully functioning dental chair. And it's no different from the clinic that any of us work in practice. So that's been really increased the scope of services we've provided through our donors who have helped us fundraise money.
Yeah, which of course everyone who's listening should be donating, hopefully. So don't forget, if you are watching, guys, to head over to rcflive.org and donate as generously as you can. I did some calculations earlier. Actually, I worked out that we'd put down a £10,000 target. So actually, if all of these 30,000 dentists who are now following us put 30 pence aside, and we'll hit that with the ease. So guys, that's the challenge, to donate yourself and then peer pressure 2 other people to do it yourself as well. You can clip that up as well.
I mean, look, the thing is with our project is that we want people to donate, but we also need people's time. If people can make themselves available to go out to the campsite now, obviously things are a little bit slower at the minute because of the current pandemic, and we're constantly doing needs and risk assessment, but safety of our volunteers is the most important thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the point is look, Khalida, Junaid, we've done all the hard work. RCF, we've figured out all the routes. Come up with solutions for pretty much all the difficulties with logistics. We organize the transport and the travel. We'll work out a shift. We'll make sure you get there. We normally send a team leader out as well. You'll have an experienced RCF team member who will come on the trip. Khaled has been on quite a few, as is myself. We'll make sure that you're well supported. We'll go out, and we tend to split the volunteers' time based on their normal work experience between emergencies and prevention.
Yeah.
And we make it as easy as possible. Now, the thing that's most important, which has always been a key tenet in our charity, is we have a 100% donation policy. Okay. So what that means is any money that anybody donates will always only be used towards supplies and helping the refugees. Okay. We ask any volunteers who come with us to be self-funded. No money will be used for paying to put volunteers in nice hotels or having nice flights, any of this. All the work we do currently through the trustees is paid for the main cause, which is to help people. We have different projects. We sometimes do welfare, we do food packs. But the vast majority of what we focus on is the dental. So any of the dentists out there thinking, well, if I give my money, where's it going to go? It's going to be going to these people who need it. It's going to be funneled in the most efficient way possible to helping these refugees to overcome their dental problems. Is really very important to us.
Yeah, I think that's key, because a lot of the time you'll donate to certain charities, or people will have donated to certain charities, and then a couple of years later you find out there's people being embezzling. And I think I can say this quite confidently. Like I know people who know you guys, and they're close friends of mine, and I know what kind of people you are, which is why I was happy to reach out and say, actually, I want to do this for RCF, as opposed to any of the other charities that I could have gone with. Obviously, the fact that you do dental aid as well as medical aid just fits like a glove. But I think that's most of the key kind of information that I needed to know was, is the money going to the right people? Do I trust these people? And I could say yes on both fronts. So to anyone out there who's thinking of donating, I would stake my kind of reputation to some point, to some degree, and say that it's money. The money is going to the right people, and it's going to help the right people at the right time.
Thank you, Javier. We appreciate that.
But I think it's really important, because people do get burned. You hear of again, going off topic, which what kind of happens on my streams as you watch them. There's been charities in the US where it's been run by certain politicians, and they've embezzled the money out to do X, Y, Z, and bribe people and things like that. And
I mean,
these things
even if it's
happen.
not embezzled, you'll find that a lot of charities, I don't want to name anyone, but there's certain ones where you might find they will use some of the donations towards administration fees, or towards transport or accommodation
as well. That's a really good point. Anybody can go on the annual reports for any big charities, and they'll see it's a substantial amount. So that's a really key point, that the money that comes to us goes directly to the refugees.
Yeah. I think that's part of it, as well as you've not got full-time people doing stuff that you're paying. It's all volunteer run. So I think that's just really amazing. So I think people should be donating. Make sure you do if you're watching. Can we talk about a little bit more about the initial trip you went on to Calais? Because you ended up with a BBC interview, didn't you guys? How did that come about?
So yes, that was when we first set out, and the refugee crisis, I think it was a little bit more in the news at that point. There was a bit more of a buzz about it, and there was a lot of kind of talk going about the jungle camp, as they called it. This was after we'd done a few trips. This was after we got in touch with the French Dental Council, got permission to work, and we had to come up with some creative solutions for how to get around doing the treatment there. What we'd actually done is we'd got an old caravan, and we'd ripped it all out, and we basically reconverted the inside of that caravan to be used as a portable dental clinic. So we had electricity hooked up to it. We had an autoclave in one side. We had a chair set at the back. We had cupboards for all our equipment and medications. It was kind of at that point we were trying to raise a little bit more awareness of the work that we were doing, and
One generator.
Sorry?
One generator.
And the generator, yeah, you can't forget the generator, yeah. Generator that usually went for a walk when we weren't at the campsite. And
Did you get it back?
sometimes.
Well, at the end, didn't we?
Yeah, we usually negotiated, and they were like, "Oh, it's you guys, yeah," and then it kind of magically showed up after a few hours. No questions asked. So yeah, we were kind of in the middle of doing that, and we ended up talking briefly to the BBC and to and to ITV as well, actually, because they were very interested in the kind of work that we were doing. Because I think they realized that it's a very unique situation that everybody was in. Because no government was really taking any control of the situation or for these guys' welfare. The impressions I got from being over there was the French government didn't really want them there. Accept them on our end, because once they come over to UK soil, then they kind of might have to go through the refugee process here. So these people were all stuck in this really difficult situation of trying to sort out asylum. There's no doubt some people were trying to sneak across through the border, doing very dangerous routes. And what you have to realize is it takes a serious level of desperation to risk your life just to get to a country. It's not a normal thing for a normal person to do. And this is the thing, that when you hear about these refugees, it's always as a number, as opposed to an actual person who's going through a very difficult life situation. So that was kind of how we first set up there initially. Then after a few trips, I'm sure they can advise you on what happened, because I believe she was live on the scene, that she went and the caravan had kind of appeared.
Yeah, I think we had to move from having a mobile caravan, which was more mobile than we thought it would be, and we ended up having a shed built there. And I think there's a picture of it, Jabir, on one of the slides, and you can see it in the background there. So there's a group of volunteers that's gone over, and it's a mixture of general volunteers, not necessarily dentists or medics, and students. And you can see Kiran holding the top right corner of the dental unit sign there, who's the founding member and at the moment CEO of the charity. So we started.
Yeah, we got that on screen.
Yeah, so we started working out of this basically shed, but again, it was mostly extractions and temporary restorations if needed, and we had to spread the word around the camp as well. Now, the campus was actually quite a big site, however, it wasn't too safe to go through the camp and set up right in the middle. So you had more army presence, and it felt a lot more safer when you entered the camp. So we'd set up there, and then we'd try get the word spread through the camp, because there were the camp's also divided where you don't just have people being anywhere randomly in makeshift tents. There was a separate place for women, unaccompanied minors, single men, and then also different ethnicities as well. And we call it a camp, but it actually was a town, because I'm sure you remember, as you enter and you walk through, you'll see there's restaurants and there's a tobacco shop that I remember.
Yeah, there was a shisha lounge that was somehow popped up in the middle of this campsite. Run by these three chaps. What are they called? They called themselves the Three Idiots.
Yeah, Three Idiots.
Three Idiots. And I asked them, I was like, why are you guys called the Three Idiots? And they go, because in our home country, we have a master's, but here in the camp, we're just three regular idiots. So it was just one of those. They were making the best of what they had, but they were very funny.
Can I just confirm that I'm not one of the Three Idiots for all my friends who will inevitably try and call me out?
Yeah.
I think you brought up something really interesting a little earlier when you were talking about, it's not just a number. And I think that's what really twigged me, that each and every one of these individuals, all of these, how many is it, 10 million? 68 million people who have been forcibly displaced. They've each got their own story and their own life that's been ruined and turned upside down. And it's that which really kind of hit me when I was in foundation year, and it was just three families that I was looking after, and one of them was a master woodworksman, making members for like mosques and stuff, the really intricate ones. So that guy's over here now, and obviously he sat around doing not much, and by the time that I was leaving, he'd got a job in a bed factory, and he was just chuffed, even though he's making, pretty boring, square beds. It's that kind of difference where actually, like you say, these guys, I'm not one of the three idiots, but they had masters in their own countries, and they've come from like such a great level of, respectability and all these things, and are now being kind of bandied about as, almost less than human in some ways. And I think even, the fact that the media call it the jungle, I think that just kind of tells you the attitude a lot of people have towards these guys.
I think you're hitting on a key point there. Is it becomes so difficult for these people to live a normal life because things we take for granted, like being allowed to go to work, it's these basic rights, to be able to provide for your family. And you can't even do that. That's the situation that they're in, and this is obviously it's a much bigger topic to discuss here, but that's a whole part of why there's such a big refugee crisis developing, because these people have skills.
Yeah.
They have a lot they can contribute to society. It's never looked at from that direction. It's always, oh, these people are going to come over and they're going to take our jobs. And but you realize when every point that I spoke to was actually very skilled people. And they have a lot to offer if they're given the opportunity to do so. But the same with anyone. If you're not given opportunities, then what is your chance to succeed? And when you look at the numbers, 68 million it's almost an incomprehensible number to imagine that amount of people, size of medium countries are displaced around the world.
Yeah, I was just going to look that up. How many countries have 68 million people or less? You're probably talking about minus, probably at least half the world has got fewer people than 68 million, and that is just, it begs, that's the size of the UK. Well, England, that's all of England has just been kicked out. That's essentially what you're looking at.
Yeah. And I think another important point is you both mentioned the refugees that come. You have a lot of highly educated people with skills to offer, and they're adults. But there's also children and there's women, and some come with their partners on this journey, or with men that accompany them, whether it's a family member. But along the way, anything can happen. If you're on a dinghy boat and it turns over and somebody comes out to save you, not necessarily everybody gets saved. So then they're left by themselves. And then you have vulnerable families and individuals, and anybody under the age of 18 is referred to as an unaccompanied minor in these situations. And I remember very, very clearly one of the first trips I went out to the jungle. One of the child there who was being looked after by a volunteer Irish teacher who'd gone over from Ireland, and she was volunteering in a camp there and delivering a lesson in a tent to these children. One of the child there, who was about 10 years old, made the journey by himself. I don't know how. It's probably a mixture of, getting on the back of a truck, a lorry, crossing over in the dinghy, and then the last stop basically is, if you look at the map, is Calais, which is the jungle, and that's where they cross over the English Channel. But the problem there is that you have to be physically, you have to have physical and mental strength to do that, because the way you cross over is you get on, you hide under a lorry, over a tire under the lorry, you go inside, and there's different means for them to do that. But a young child can't do that. So he was saying how he tried multiple times, but he'd failed every time because the police would they would catch on to him. So you think about that child, and then you think, well, if he can't cross the channel because he's too young and now he's lost the willpower and he doesn't have the strength to cross over, what's his future? What happened to that child? Now the Calais, the jungle has been demolished, and you think, where is that child? What's his future? Where is he headed? And
a lot of the time, these children, they may have family in the UK that they're trying to get in touch with, or they speak English, and they go, look, I want to get to a country where I can communicate with local people, where I can have a chance at having a normal life. And it's these things that we don't think about, because not these people come over, they don't speak French, they speak German. English is one of the biggest languages in the world, and it's a common ground that they have, and that's part of the reason why they're trying to come over. So it's all these little things that really make it difficult. Is that I realize that this matters much more to me than I thought it would, because I didn't imagine myself thinking a couple of times a month we're going to go to Bangladesh was went over and there was I think it must have been about a 3-year-old little girl. She was literally just in the middle of a big pile of rubbish. There was nobody looking after her. And I had a nephew who's the same age. And it really hit me. And I thought, look, this could just have easily been a member of my family. It could have been my nephew in this situation. And am I really going to just sit around and do nothing about it? And that's, I think that was for me was the turning point where I thought, no, like this is a much bigger issue than I realized. And any of the volunteers who go over, they will tell you it gives you a completely different mindset to just a normal hustle and bustle. When you're thinking, look, everybody has problems, of course, but it's on a whole different level of like that first world problem compared to what am I going to eat this week? Never mind even today. You know, like where we'll get clean food from. I'm sick. I'm like all these issues that are so easily dealt with here are nearly impossible to deal with at a campsite, and there's nothing you can do about it. Especially these young children.
Yeah.
Well, it says, and they can very often be unaccompanied, or they sometimes the children will be allowed in, given asylum, and the parents won't, or they won't be able to meet their families, and it's just a whole difficult situation. I think anything that we can do as people, as healthcare professionals, to help them is a huge benefit to these people, and they appreciate it as well. Just I think a lot of the people said just to know that there were people going over who cared, that there are people going over to hear their stories, to let them have their voices heard. It mattered the world to them, and just such a small thing makes such a huge difference to people as well. It gave some people hope. They told us their stories, where they came from. You know, I've had people who would message me afterwards on Facebook when they got a chance to be like, "Hey, how are you getting on? I met you at the camp. You know, we're always joking. One day we'll meet you over in England. We'll grab a burger. You know, like these little things." And the friends that you make with these refugees, because they're just normal people, you know. And some of them are really funny, and some of them are terrible at football. But you know, it's just doing our bit. Really, is all it is. It's nothing crazy, nothing magical. It's just doing a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and I think there's been unfortunately a very sustained and concerted effort to make these people not seem human, so we don't have to take them in and do what we should be doing for them. And unfortunately, there's far too many people who believe this kind of thing. So I think we have to do the right thing and shed light. Like you say, just imagine, you know, all of our families. I know Junaid's still in Bangladesh, but at any point, someone within our families could have made a decision. Actually, we're going to stay here, in whichever country you came from. And I've got hundreds of Syrian, loads, well, maybe not hundreds, but lots of Syrian friends. I've got Iraqi friends. I've got, you know, friends from all across these affected areas. It could quite easily be any one of those guys had their parents or grandparents decided that they were going to stay in their home country. You know, that is how kind of key and pivotal a small decision a long time ago or not so long time ago could be for entire families. And you know, I'm sure there are people that I know who've lost, you know, plenty of relatives and loved ones due to these crises that are going on, and that can just, you know, shed light on how fragile the whole human ecosystem is in that way. You know, small change like that could have meant that people, you know, you actually wouldn't know them. I don't know, that's maybe a bit of a rambling thought, but
no, it's true. And the thing is some of these people, they'll show us like photos on their phone and be like, "Oh, this used to be my house," and it's like nicer than most of the people I know live in. Like they're not. They get this reputation for just coming over to try and just, I don't know, get a better life, and you're just looking and thinking they had the better life. Like they wouldn't have done it unless there was no other option. You know, that they're not just doing it just to try and get into the UK system. It's not that. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that always gets left behind. Like, look, as with anything, I'm sure there's all kinds of people, and everyone has different ideas of why they're there and what they want to do. But the vast majority wouldn't be there if they had another option.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. from the guys that I spoke to, the most lovely guys, honestly. A little bit too much caries, let's be honest, but I did try and get the sugars down in little teacups, not bigger than maybe
yeah, it's the
your
small cups.
finger.
Yeah.
How they're getting four sugars in there, I don't know, but I think I talked them out of it. I don't know whether I did or not. Maybe they went straight back after I left, but these are lovely people, and they would invite me over. I survived Ramadan in the middle of nowhere just because of these guys. And I think that's kind of what's really spurred me on. And when eventually it came to time to maybe do something, instead of running another giveaway and giving away stuff to you guys, I would rather have it the other way around. We're going to give back to people who actually really need it, because I could send out some composite instruments or some drills and things like that to all my followers, and I'm sure one or two of you would be very, very happy to pick those up. But there are people out there who are much more in need of something. So this is the 30K giveaway from us to them, as opposed to from some companies that I've messaged and to the actual followers on Instagram. Again, a little bit rambling, but I think you kind of get the idea of why I'm doing it at this point. So yeah, guys, if you've been watching, make sure you're going to donate. It's rcflive.org. I keep on almost saying .info, but it's .org. rcflive.org. The link's going to be in the description of this video and on next week. I need you to send it to as many people as you can, and hopefully we'll hit that 10K. Do you know what? If we hit 15K, so I'm going to make this declaration, and you're going to have to clip this bit up. If we hit 15K while I'm on the live stream, this all goes. Okay?
I think you should have increased that to 20K.
I'm 50-50 as well. Shall I make it 20K? We'll call it 15.
No, I think 15. We'll leave it as 15 because you said it now.
But Junaid, what do you think? 15,000 or 20,000 for Jabir shaving off his hair?
I'm leaving the beard because beard.
I'm with I would like to what Ali bhai, like the problem about the refugees. Like almost you mentioned everything, like how they go through like with their daily life. But like there are some other problems, like the like whatever I experienced in the camp. In the camp, they do not have proper access of clean water, and also like the food. And like when I get back from clinic, I saw a lot of children. Like Oliver mentioned, like he said an example, like his nephew, like that kind of children. Like I saw a lot of children who were like malnutrited, like they do not get proper nutrition. And about the health, inside the camp, like the health facility is very limited. The Rohingyas, they get primary health facility, but when it comes to the secondary or tertiary management, it's quite difficult to go out from the camp to the local hospital or the district level hospital or even in Dhaka. So if they got any kind of uh, chronic disease or which needed the secondary management or tertiary management, they cannot go through it very simply. Some people can manage to go out of the camp, but most of them they cannot. And also lifestyle of that, like the house they are living, I'm not sure you are aware of that or not. In every family, around 8 to 12 people lives in a just a single tent, which is quite difficult to sleep or doing their daily activities inside this small tent or house. And yeah, like these are the basic stuff, basic things. And as you mentioned about their skills, like I have experienced like the refugees, the Rohingya refugees, like they really make beautiful architectures, like a beautiful house or different structures with bamboo, like the bamboo structure, like which is quite like amazing. Like if you see this structure on live, like you will be impressed. Like how did they do that? That's amazing. And the children's like the organization in here local organization, like there is an organization I am staying with them, like RCF is collaborating with them, and I mean on the ground. They have different learning centers, and on that learning centers, children they class 1 to class 5 they have, like and sometimes I get some drawing, like the drawing from the school children. That's really amazing. Like their thinking is quite good, and like it's amazing. So I would say I would agree with Ali Bhai, what he mentioned, like the refugees, they're quite brilliant. Like if they get the field, they will definitely do good. And also about the labor, like the people inside the camp, they are not allowed to come out of this camp, so they cannot do daily work to live their life. Like they do not have any sources to income, and that's quite like people are there are lots of people who are ready to work, who are ready to serve, but they do not get a chance, or they do not get any kind of work, whatever it is, like the physical work, like the construction, road construction, or like anything. They're ready to do it, but they do not get a chance. And yeah, it's quite upset upsetting.
Yeah, it's the same things,
And
isn't it? As in, you know, Calais or wherever else. It's the same stories that we hear again and again.
Yeah, it's just you just wish that it would make it easier, the local governments, to these people to be helped. But there's two sides to every story, and the reason is the local governments, if they make it a nice place to be, then they're concerned they would have more refugees come. So it's kind of it's very much a self-fulfilling issue here, in that if they make it difficult, they can't leave. You end up with more refugees because there's no real integration with society. But the issue is look, we're not going to be able to change that
No.
ourselves overnight.
We might need Marcus
And
Rashford for that.
us as a charity, we like, and probably an army of Marcus Rashfords. That with RCF, we focus on doing what we can. Is we've got expertise in healthcare, so we help with that. As Junaid mentioned, we have learning centers that we work with, and part of our strategy at the learning centers is we provide toothbrushes and toothpaste and oral hygiene instruction for these kids. So they get in a habit from a young age of using brushing, using fluoride toothpaste, trying to reduce the caries risk. We give them diet advice and frequency advice. So that's part of our strategy is to really focus on the next generation that are growing up in that campsite, to try and prevent some of the problems that Junaid is having to treat on a daily basis. And this comes into our charity's philosophy as a whole, that we look at the bigger picture and not just there is a tooth or the tooth. We look at that person situation and what we can do about improving that. We do try and keep out of the political side as much as possible. We try to focus on just helping as much as we can within the framework of the campsite. Another point that Junaid mentioned is, look, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So a lot of the time, RCF, we go over, we'll do a needs assessment, we will find some trustworthy local partners who have been at the campsite, they're experienced with the bureaucracy, how things work in that camp. We will work with these people, try and get things done as efficiently as possible. Because we don't see the need to spend a lot of time and money and the volunteers' efforts in making a new system when there's already a system that works, and we can adapt it to for our own use.
Yeah.
So we've worked with charities like Cora in Greece. We worked with Care for Calais. And then in Bangladesh, the main ones we work with are OBAD Helpers and the Prantic Society. And we always look at the charities that we work with, and we make sure they're just as accountable as we are. And that's very important, because there's no point if we link up with local partners who don't hold themselves to the same standards, the same level of work that we do. But that is very important as well. Make things more efficient.
Yeah.
And I think, as Ali mentioned, we did Calais, France, we did Greece, now we're in Bangladesh. And the clinic in Bangladesh is now, it's a sustainable clinic. So we have a long-term strategy for it. And that's what we do every time we design a project. And I'm heavily involved with design and implementation, and then evaluating the projects as well. We don't just set things up and then all go off on one-off trips. What we want to do is we want to set up a service there where we make use of the local workforce. So Bangladeshi dentist, he lives in Bangladesh and he's living out in Cox's Bazar at the moment. Our translator is a Rohingya refugee. And alongside this, what we're also trying to do is do welfare projects as well. So a couple of that we've been brainstorming, which are very COVID related, is women are being trained in sewing. So they're going to make masks. And we'll make them, So what we'll do is we'll put out the link on Refugee Crisis Foundation's Instagram, and you could also share on your page. What we'll do is we will ask donors to donate money to for these ladies to make the masks. So they've been trained. It's women empowerment. They'll get a basic salary, and the masks will be distributed for free within the refugee camp. As I think most health authorities and governments are planning for a second wave of COVID, this is very relevant to the pandemic we're in now. And moving from Bangladesh, we also are planning projects for refugees, Syrian refugees in Turkey as well. So potentially will be later on in the year, depending on the pandemic. So we'll probably do a needs assessment there, and that's closer to home to the UK. So if people can't volunteer in Bangladesh, they just need to watch the space. We might have something closer. Yeah. And it's not necessarily going out on these trips as well. For example, Jabir, what you've done, you haven't been on an RCF trip, right?
No, I was looking at trying to go on one of these trips, and there was some different, organizations, and you seem to have to do it like 12 months in advance. So I kind of like, oh yeah, I thought it was going to be like
not quite that much planning, but yeah, it depends on how busy things are, and obviously at the minute everything's kind of just being put on hold.
And it's not necessarily going out as well, and that's the point I'm making. What you're doing now for RCF and for the refugees is you haven't gone out on a trip, you haven't seen anything else there, but you know people, you've heard about us and the work that we do, and you're helping in your own way with the skill set that you have, the following you have, the network you have. So this, this goes out for anybody listening and watching. If you could, and that's not necessarily going out on a deployment, get in touch with us. DM us on Instagram or email us at info@refugeecrisisfoundation.com and tell us what you can offer, and we could bring you on board as volunteers.
We do a lot of local stuff in the UK. We've got roots in a few different dental hospitals throughout the UK as well, which is amazing. It's really something to see that even the dental students are now getting on board, and they're helping out where they can. So there's opportunities. There's some students watching out there that your university may already have a student organization that helps with us, or you could even think about setting one up.
Yeah.
There's things that people do like climbing Mount Nevis, and doing bake sales. There's like yourself, you're doing the charity stream. There's things that people can do to help without going out there. It's about providing support for us and for the refugees, and in whatever way you can. And even if it's a small thing, that's fine. If you can come on the trip, that's great. But what I would say is, going on these trips, it's probably some of the most enjoyable time that I've had away from work while still doing work. It's a weird thing to say, but it's just such a breath of fresh air, and you meet amazing people. Like I remember I met Junaid and Shajib as well, right?
Yeah.
Was there, and there was myself and a few other of the dentists who went over, and we're still in touch, and we had such a great time seeing some of the local guys. I remember poor Junaid, he got a bus. How long did the bus take you get to the campsite to meet us? Was it like 16 hours or something?
Wow.
Yeah, around 16 hours. But
He was,
now the road condition is much better than before, so it takes
it's
around
much
like
better.
10. Yeah,
Not
now
too bad. And then and poor Junaid was about to get a bus all the way back, and we're like, no, 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 you're coming with us. We all chipped in. We made sure he flew with us and stuff back to the capital. But it was just these things, the people you meet, and there's some good friends I have who I've met through the charity as well. And you meet some awesome people on these trips. You really do. You meet good dentists who just generally care as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you worry that some dentists are getting a bit caught up in glitz and the glam and the like they're trying to get to the end point within 3 years and they're not taking their time to really adjust. So I think my camera is just off.
We can still hear you.
But yeah, and it's just these little things, and it makes a difference, and it's just it's a lot of fun. It actually is a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of difficult times as well. Because when you go and you hear the story, so there's two ends. Yeah.
Anyway, do you remember that we unloaded a whole truck like which was fully loaded with rice and other
We have to
stuff?
carry it up the campsite.
Yeah, on the side.
I was not used to manual labor. I tell you that it was a bit of a walk in some bits. Do prepare to walk if you do come, but it's definitely fun.
Might be picking up rice bags along the way because lorry's broken down and they can't get the rice to the camp.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That was it. It's just you encounter problems that you don't encounter here. That way. Oh, we're back up. Back.
Yeah, I think that's so true. You're talking about, not necessarily having to go on a trip or something like that. Like I'm not even leaving my bedroom, so
Yeah.
let's put it that way. To do something that's hopefully going to be useful, and of course, it's going to be down to the guys at home to get sharing and get donating to make sure that me not leaving my bedroom is going to be useful. So again, another reminder: rcf.in. Again, didn't I? rcflive.org to donate. I'll have it down by next week. I don't know why I keep on thinking .info, but it's .org. But yeah, and like you say, there are things that are going on in the UK. I've been to the Manchester Gala, and it was a really late decision for me to actually go to that gala. I think I've told Colin the story of that, where I was out and about, and my friend was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to this thing later on. It's a charity gala thing," and he sent me the flyer on WhatsApp, and I quickly looked at it like, "Oh, Vermilion Manchester, cool," and then just didn't look at it again. Went about my day, and then I turned up. In fact, I had a white shirt on, so that was a tick, and I had black jeans, black chino jeans on, so that was a tick.
So you weren't too far off.
I had. I don't know. Wait. In fact, one sec. I think I've got what I had here.
What was our dress theme? It was not chinos, was it?
Black tie. It was black tie, wasn't it?
Tie. Through the door.
Oh, black tie.
So I was wearing this.
Oh God.
And I had big red shoes on. So I walk in there, and I was a little bit late because I'd never been to the Vermilion before, and I couldn't find the turn in. So I was going up and down that road for ages, and I was like, "How the heck do you get in here?" Finally got in, and most people had gone in, so I hadn't seen anyone walking in, so I hadn't twigged that it was black tie. And I walk up to the desk, and then I think it's look right down the little corridor. I go, I don't know if I want to go in here.
Yeah.
Because I could see people walking around in like
very
nice tuxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, I've turned up. I'm gonna have to go in. But thankfully, there was another guy who was wearing some crazy stuff, and it turned out to be the mayor of Sheffield. So yeah.
Yeah, the mayor of Sheffield. He was a character. I remember he came.
Yeah, he was very casually dressed. So I was like, okay, well, if he can do it, so can I. But yeah, I ditched the cap. I went back to the car.
I'm going 1 minute for I need to get my charger on like my
No problem.
No problem. what I'll do is I think we're close to wrapping up anyway.
Yeah.
I think.
What was the point of your gala story? You were going to say how you were inspired, but you stopped at your outfit.
Oh right, yeah. The outfit with it's a scar upon my memory, really. So,
That's fine. But
yeah, no. What's the point?
No, but you're saying that
so
like,
there are things going on in the UK.
right?
Yeah, there are things going on in the UK, and you can go to the next gala event and wear a suit, or not, and then there are things that you can do. So it doesn't need a huge effort from yourself, in terms of your time and energy and things like that. You can just go to a nice dinner and just be, opening the wallet and sending some money to the guys at RCF that way as well. And you can feel pretty good about it and have a nice meal. I remember the lamb was really good that day.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. I can remember food. Don't worry about it.
Must have been some good lamb. Rejig that memory.
We were too busy working.
I don't know if me and Carlos had time to sit and eat the lamb on that day.
I think I was probably just trying to hide my shoes, so I was sat at the table just eating. I was like, oh, I can have a bit more of that. But yeah, no, there are things that you can do like that which are as useful as going out to the camps in your own way. So I think that's kind of the point of that very rambly long story.
Yeah, for sure.
Bunches, well, I'm sure people have realised through this that come volunteer with us. We've got people from all backgrounds, from different walks of life, and just check out our page as well. There's a lot on there about the projects we do. This is a short session, so we weren't able to cover everything. But
sure, yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be dental volunteers. I mean, we've had a lot of non-dental. We've had medics who volunteered with us. I said before, we've had teachers. One of our volunteers actually ended up training to become a dental nurse after coming on a trip because she just loved it. She came over, she saw how we were working. We needed a bit of help with getting things set up, so we kind of showed her how to mix some GIs, and she's now a fully qualified dental nurse, which is crazy to think about. So you just never know where things will end up.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing, and hopefully we'll go from strength to strength and see some real change in the future as well. And hopefully there'll be less conflict and less refugees and less new refugees in the future. So yeah, should we call it a day there? Because I think we've just gone over 1 hour for the recording, so I think that's pretty nice length. Make sure you guys who are watching are following Refugee Crisis Foundation on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever else you guys are. Do you have YouTube yet?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Got a YouTube as well. So make sure you guys are all following all the places that these guys are operating, supporting the cause. Make sure you're going to share the multitude of posts that are going to be coming out this week. So I'm going to start announcing the lineup very, very soon. So start sharing those, and hopefully you can get your questions in, get some questions answered, have some fun, get donating. If we hit 15k on the stream during the 24 hours, my hair's going.
Adding extra rules now. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I said during the stream. I did say during the stream. So if we hit the 15k during the stream, my hair's going.
The wallet and just make sure we hit
that. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm thinking. You know what? If we hit 20k, I'll cut it short and bleach it instead.
Oh wow! Oh wow! That's a powerful statement. That's a powerful look. I don't know.
What would you bleach it with?
Like blonde.
Yeah, like a white blonde. I kind of want to try it, see how it's going to look anyway. No, I think that sends the wrong message.
I mean, do you know, actually, going along the Bangladesh campsite, they have a kind of a tradition, the men, to dye their beards with henna.
Yeah.
You do see a lot of bright ginger beards that are being rocked over in Bangladesh, so that could be with the 25k, the blonde with the beard.
I'm not a traffic light. Are we going to say 25k for me to do that? Oh, God. How long do I have to keep it?
I mean, the thing is, at the minute with the fit testing, you can't have your beard too long, so probably not that long.
Yeah. Well, there it is. So we've got three targets. So 15K, my hair goes and I get shaved. The beard stays no matter what, so I'm not getting rid of the beard. So because honestly, I don't look right without a beard. So at 20K, it looks like I'm going short with white blonde, and then 25 henna in the beard as well.
We've got some milestones. I'll make sure to clip that up for our YouTube.
Yeah, this is during the live stream, so if you want to get head start, guys, then get donating now, and I don't know, rob a bank and send us all the money. Don't rob a bank, but do send us all your money. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Junaid. Hope you're doing all right. I think you're getting quite late over there in Bangladesh, so we'll let you head off to sleep soon. Khalida and Ali, hopefully we'll meet up in person as well. I think it'd be a really good thing to do, something in the future as well, after this is finished, a little bit more of an in-person event, something we can do like that, where I'm not faffing around with Skype, which I'm very worried about for next week. I'm going to say I'm very worried about the Skype situation for next week, but hopefully we'll manage.
No, thanks for having us on, and we appreciate all the help that you're putting in for the Refugee Crisis Foundation. It's really awesome, and we hope all your followers and all the people who are going to go onto the stream think the same, do their best to donate, and even if you just give us a like or a follow, just get the word out there that there's things that we're doing, things that can help. I think that'll be the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's key. Whatever you do to help out, whatever you do to contribute, it's appreciated. Even if you aren't, maybe in financial dire straits or something from the COVID situation, even if you're just sharing to everyone via WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, giving a like, that makes a big difference. Like, I can't tell you how much. I'll give you a little secret to the guys who are watching, because those of I do a bit of Instagram tutoring on the side every now and then. That's one of the big signals. So if people are sharing things, then it actually gets shown more to people that you're not even sharing it to. So if you are sharing these posts, then it helps us out just by getting more eyes on it. So even if it does feel like you've not maybe done as much as you might want to, if you're unable to donate, sharing is just as valuable to us. I'll call it there then, guys. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of that, and more importantly, hit the donation link down in the description and start donating some money. We'll see if we can get to 25K and make me look like a clown. Hey guys.